This is the coolest show brought to you by Hip Hop Caucuses. Think 100%.
It's the coolest show you know, keep the culture connected. It's the coolest show you know, in your ear, yeah, respected. Expert level information, entertainment, education. Rev Yearwood got you covered as you hit your destination. Climate rules everything around me. Train. For those who lost focus, close your eyes and just train. Open your third eye, now the world is your off. Coolest show you know, it's the Hip Hop Caucus.
There are times when I get to do an interview with someone who is a part of the Hip Hop Caucus family. And there are times you get to do folks who are also creatives and producers and activists. Well, today I have the honor of introducing someone to you who is both a part of the Hip Hop Caucus family through her recent work that she just did with the Petrochemicals docu-series, and as well as someone who was a creative and a producer. So I'm excited to be introducing to you the director, the producer, and the writer, and just someone who is all around, Takia, better known as Tizzi Green, who is just phenomenal. Man, Tizzi, how are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm well, and it's good to see you as always.
Listen, well, let's get right to it. Let me just say this for folks who don't know. We just did, and you have to take, if you have not seen it, Big Oil's last Lifeline, a 3-part docu-series that goes in depth into the areas of Texas, particularly Houston, Louisiana, my home state, specifically around New Orleans and around the St. James Parish, and in the Ohio River Valley, in particularly West Virginia. And this was a critically important docu-series for so many reasons. We're going to get into it. And so Tizzi was both the writer and director of that. But before we get into all of that, for folks who don't know you, haven't been introduced to you, who is Takia Tizzi Green?
I mean, well, first and foremost, a servant of God. I'm just here, just living out my purpose. That's literally what I'm doing, and that's with all of the trials and tribulations and on my journey. I've taken that and I use that to inspire and heal others. My community. Just like I said, being a servant, for God, and being of service to everybody else.
Well, you mentioned that, and I appreciate that, particularly from my perspective of being a servant of God and using your work to help better, literally, our community. But who is your community?
I mean, my community, I work a lot with the youth. I'm more of a youth advocate. I'm from South Central Los Angeles, born and raised. So that's where I do a lot of my, activism and advocacy work. That's pretty much the community. I mean, I work with all communities, though, honestly. I literally do. Because, I mean, to me, we're all connected, all one in some form or fashion. So, it's like a domino effect.
Yeah.
When one's doing, it's like love thy neighbor. That's my community.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned South Central. South Central is not a small. It's not. It's not. There's certain parts of South Central. So, what part of South Central LA are you from? What I don't want you. I don't want you to be tomorrow. This is my block. I mean, this is my block, Rev. We over here.
I could go there too, Rev.
I don't want our producer cross and all that and start deleting the podcast on us. We just want you to try to get to the. We actually try to get to your last name, the green part. So we want to get to. We're trying to get there, but no. But we're part of LA. I think that has an impact because obviously from the cultural standpoint, everything from the Rodney King aspect, from just the living aspect. I mean, that has an impact on how you see this world as well.
I mean, literally South Central off of Western, near Western and 92nd.
That's what's up.
You know, I was trying not to, tell all of that, but
no, but you got it. That's important. We need that part too.
I mean, and I'm literally from the heart, South Central. Yeah.
Well, I know that part quite well, and so I know that part means that you also had to, regardless of where you came from, how good your parents was or wasn't, I know that also requires you to overcome some things and to bring you, and that's got to shape your reason for wanting to bring justice to the screen. So, how did that past upbringing bring you to where you are now when you want to use your camera, use your writing ability, use your storytelling ability to bring light to justice?
I mean, absolutely. I grew up, in a gang, and, when I was young, being destructive and, putting out the wrong type of energy in my community. So when I got the calling, that's what inspired me, was to, I guess, fix what I had broken or contributed to breaking. And, a youth center literally saved my life. Like, I literally was running from another gang shooting at us, and I ran and hid and ducked up in the youth center, and that's where I got discovered. I ended up going there every day just to stay off the streets, not to get shot at. So that's where I got discovered. That's where I originally started rapping and ended up getting a record deal, and then ended up getting hired at Sony Pictures when I was like 19. So, that's what inspired. Like I said, I use my journey to tell stories, and so I can relate to a lot of people, and that's what I like I like authenticity. So if I can pull that out of people as a director, for people to tell their truth, that's what I go by, because I walk in my truth.
Nah, that's so real. I mean, you have no idea, Tizzi, how real. And I'm so glad. Thank you for being transparent, because I don't think you even know how many people, even right now, telling that story, that's going to bless, for real. Because I think so many people in this movement, one, don't come from that world at all. And they don't even understand what that means. They can't even comprehend, actually, what it means to be ducking from bullets and then ducking into the youth center and in your life. And I know it's a whole process in that process and what that means. They don't, and then to be who you are now, speaking truth to power. So that's so important for you to put that out there into the universe. And thank you for that. I guess, it kind of leads me to, because clearly there's an evolution for Tizzi and in this process and where you are. And I'm assuming that this evolution ain't over yet. You know what I mean? I'm assuming that you still feeling yourself blossom. Am I right on that?
Yeah. I mean, we're always evolving, I recently opened up my nonprofit youth center to give back for the same reasons, because I know that, it literally saved my life. So I'm evolving as spiritually every day, individually, as a friend, as a daughter, as an aunt, just my perspective on life is just different, and it's always changing. So.
Well, let's get to this project you just completed. It's amazing. Obviously, you just with Hip Hop Caucus and others who are part of that released a 3-part docu-series sounding the alarm on environmental racism and the petrochemical industry. It was Big Oil's last lifeline, and it takes us to the front lines of the U.S. epicenters for petrochemicals production. You took us to West Virginia, you took us to Houston, and along the Mississippi River in Louisiana. And so in Big Oil's last Lifeline, this 3-part docu-series, which people can find if you go online. You also can go to weshallbreathe.com/films, and you can, if you haven't seen it. But did you know about petrochemicals before filming the series?
So this is the thing. I did on a small scale, and the small scale was really the fertilizer. But when the team and I went, Hip Hop Caucus team and myself went to scout the locations, I got to see everything firsthand. And so I think as a director, it was a good thing for someone like me to do a project like this because I was green. And so I got to really dig in and get the perspective and the truth of what's going on from the people. And that was the way that's what inspired me to direct it the way I did, as far as like not being so, talking so much about statistics and, things of that nature, but actually hearing from the people who are living this every day and sharing their stories that's relatable to all of us, and tugging on our heartstrings, so that we can continue to be a part of the movement and make a difference, and also be supportive to them in whatever fashion that they need support.
What did you do to get up to speed on these issues?
A lot of reading, research, and the main thing, listening. Listening to the people, developing relationships with the people who are on the front lines, the people who are going through this, the activists, the neighborhoods, the people in the neighborhoods, just actually really listening to them.
Why is that important? I mean, you're obviously, as someone who has to tell this story, and it's their story, right? And this is, for some of them, this is a story of life or death. The petrochemical and fossil fuels industry business plan means a death sentence for many of them. And so you have to get this story right. So why is it important? You're stressing listening. Why is that important? And for people to understand that aspect to your work?
I think because it is, their perspective is, it is a death sentence for them. And the most important thing for them, for the individuals who are living this every day, is to be heard. And so I wanted to make sure that I captured their stories, exactly. The good thing is, like I said, I developed relationships with them. So they were transparent, they were vulnerable, and just willing to open up, with intimate, personal experiences. And saying that on camera is, these aren't people from Hollywood or, these are regular folk just like us. And, they've been talking and yelling and crying so much, but they're still feeling unheard. So that's why, to me, it was important, like I said, to capture their truth, their words, and let the world know, whoever watched this, like, this is something that I can relate to, because everybody knows somebody that has had cancer, that have passed away, so it's different scenarios, but we all have the same emotions. And so if you can tug on certain emotions, from an audience that's not paying attention to this, and relate it, make a story where it's relatable to them, then I'm sure that, I know myself, like I wanted to change. I wanted to say, what else can I do? I'm doing, what else can I do?
Tizzi, as you're talking, and I watch this amazing docu-series and these amazing films. One of the things you brought up there that comes up, and obviously Dawn Richards, who's part of the Hip Hop Caucus team as well, does some of the voiceover. And one thing I was listening to was the repeated term sacrifice zones, right? And I was listening to that and watching that, what struck me, and this is kind of going back to your story, is, and I also come from this world as well. I understand, we have folks in our communities who are gang banging. But when you listen to these stories, you realize that they ain't got nothing on these folks in these corporate boardrooms. That I've met some gangsters, Tizzi. I've met some characters. I ain't gonna lie. I've met a few.
Right.
I've met some. But I'm gonna tell you something. In that whole process, they ain't got nothing on what these folks do in the suites. I met some gangsters in the streets. They ain't got nothing because they literally will put this pollution and these toxins next to a schoolyard, and they will kill school babies with the fumes. As you went around and you traveled and you were doing this film and you were thinking about that, how did that make you feel? I mean, for me, it makes me angry when I think about, particularly when it happens to Black and brown communities. I mean, as you're filming this and you're telling this story, I mean, how do you maintain your emotions in that regard?
Let me tell you something. I was very angry, especially with the youth, because, that's my soft spot, but just with everybody, just how they're being treated, how it's being done, like, and specifically, strategically placing these chemical plants in specific neighborhoods and then calling it sacrifice zones. I mean, it doesn't get any more disrespectful, hateful, like whatever words you want to use. It's like, I was upset. And so that's why, to me, it was like, what else can I do? And because the thing is, I went to those 3 different places, but it's affecting us all. It's in all of our food, all of our air, and all of our water. In those particular places, they're right next to the plants, but it's literally affecting us all. So that's why it's so important to get the message out there. You're right. That's the real gangsters. Those are the demonic gangsters. That's what I call them. Because there's no way you can be human and have compassion or any type of love and do that to people. That was my thoughts. Like, how can you even you can't be human. Literally, you for a check, for a Learjet, for power, because at the end of the day, it's affecting them too. And their families, we're having all these diseases and respiratory issues and cancers and all of this stuff going on in the world. And at the end of the day, it's literally coming from, those in power that just want money, that's building these petrochemical plants and the fake food, taking away our natural nutrients and all of this stuff. It's very upsetting. Very upsetting.
No, you hit it. We're going to call it what it is. It is demonic.
It's demonic.
Yeah, if these folks, like literally, we had a situation where we could simply just regulate. not even just get rid of, just regulate your pollution. And they literally went to task to go to the Supreme Court to get rid of the regulation. Like, they went to the highest court in the quote unquote land to get rid of the regulation so they can pollute even more without the regulation. Like, literally, that's like people are saying, man, I'm going to get rid of the crack laws. So I'm going to sell all the crack. You use unlimited. It's going to be like, nah, you can't even tell me like this is too much or this would. Nah, we're going to just go overboard and kill everybody, including ourselves. You're right. Including like literally Titanic, like literally like they don't care. They're going to like take it down. So, man,
I just saw that. I just read that yesterday. I mean, Rev, honestly, that's my mission here. And it's so much bigger than, we're talking about energy plants, right? Chemical plants, energy. At the end of the day, the only way we can stop this is if we heal ourselves and change our energy. Because once we change our energy individually, then our energy will change collectively, and that changes the energy of the planet.
Why is it important for Black creatives to get involved in this work and to tell these kind of stories?
Well, I mean, it's our story. It's the way we're being affected, and a lot of times when we're not telling our stories and somebody else is telling our story, just being watered down and it's not authentic. So it's very important for us to, as creatives, to tell our own stories like it is, because we can relate to our stories because we go through.
Tizzi, as I'm, so now that you've done this project, what's next on your horizon? Do you want to keep this going? Hip Hop Caucus, you want to keep the band together?
Absolutely.
What I'm saying? Keep the band together. We want to run it back. What's next? I guess we got to go out here and make sure everybody sees this. Make sure folks check out. You cannot miss Big Oil's last Lifeline. This amazing 3-part docu-series sounding the alarm on environmental racism and the petrochemical industry. But what's next? What would you want to see done next? You want to see like another part to this? You want to see how we can maybe do something that is even more, culturally kind of connecting? What's next? What's your ideas on that?
I mean, one thing that I saw was absolutely want to definitely keep the family thing going with Hip Hop Caucus, because I love what you all are doing over there. That was one of the reasons I wanted to be a part of the project, because literally every project I attach myself to, it has to have meaning behind it. But I think being out there and seeing a lot of our elders on the front lines and in the movement, I would like to see a lot more young people get involved with this movement, because that was missing, So I would like to see that. And it's just a matter of, doing more to connect with them, because, a lot of the elders were letting us know, like, they're leaving, they're not there. And so when they leave the area, these petrochemical plants have the opportunity to come in and swoop up the land, that's been passed down from generations. So I think it's important to continue this movement, to continue to work with docu-series of this nature, to keep getting the word out and tapping into, different perspectives of it as well. And I mean, I'm always working. So what's next for me? Like I said, my youth center, that I'm doing that, I'm writing a book on, healing. Like I spoke about earlier, us healing ourselves individually first, and, tapping into our trauma and healing that in order to evolve to the next level so we can, have, the faith and the grit to stand up against these demonic gangsters.
But Tizzi, I'm gonna tell you, with this project and others that I know that we're gonna do, but this in general that we have to do, all of us, that we have to do together to bring it to life. We're gonna fight. We got no choice but to fight. And I think that, the Bible says that it will use the foolish things to confound the wise. And so sometimes what other folks think is foolish, sometimes, God is right in the midst of that. And so we are so happy that God is in our culture, God is in our spirit, God is in our energy, because to be honest, we can't keep having our babies put in caskets. We can't keep having literally from asthma and emphysema and cancer. We can't, there's no way possible we can continue to have, we know that, we can count off the stats that 68% of Black people live within 30 miles of a coal-fired power plant, that so many Black people and Indigenous and brown people live next to petrochemical facilities. We know those numbers, but we can't let them get away. So I just want to thank you, Tizzi. So let me ask you this. If folks want to follow you and support you and contact you, how can they do that?
I'm on Instagram at It's Tizzi G, ITSTIZZIG, and on Facebook as Tizzi Green. And if you want to email me, you can email us at majestic9films@gmail.com. Awesome.
Tizzi, thank you for this amazing production. Thank you for your gift. Thank you for running fast so you could duck behind cars. Thank God for keeping me so I could be here to talk to you today. Yeah, thank goodness you knew what car to duck behind. Right. Thank you, Lord, for all of that. Oh man, thank you so much.
No, thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this movement and opening my eyes to it. Just let me know, like I told everybody, Liz, Candace, let me know where you all need me at, because I'm there. That's I'm about the movement.
And that's important, because I want to, as we end on that, I want to make sure people know that a lot of our team, we just met you really for the first time, right? In many cases, some of us knew you much longer than that. Some of us just met, but it was important as a Black creative that we trust Black creatives, and we trust them with our resources and our story, and we trust them. Too many times, the reason when people ask why Hip Hop Caucus is important is for that very reason, because too many other people will get that opportunity. And nothing wrong with that, to tell that story, but we need to trust our community, because there's no way that our community will go from the Malcolm Littles to the Malcolm X, from the Cassius Clays to the Muhammad Ali's. There's no way that we are able to grow in that fashion unless we're the ones who actually are doing what needs to be done. So Tizzi, I thank you for picking up that mantle and doing this great project here. Make sure that folks tune in. I think it's important that they tune in to Big Oil's last Lifeline, the 3-part docu-series on petrochemical industry. And for that, Tizzi, I just say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys for trusting me.
No, most definitely. And that's our guest today, Takia Tizzi Green, director, producer, and CEO of Majestic 9 Productions. And I am Rev Yearwood, your host of The Coolest Show. Thank you.
This is The Coolest Show, brought to you by Hip Hop Caucus's Think 100%.
It's the coolest show, keep the culture connected. It's the coolest show, in your ear, yeah, respected. Expert level information, entertainment, education. Rev Yearwood got you covered as you hit your destination. Climate rules everything around me. Cream. For those who lost focus, close your eyes and just dream. Open your third eye, now the world is your off. Coolest show, it's the Hip Hop Caucus.